Thank you all for joining us this morning. My name is Gabriela Preiss. I am a senior manager for the industry solutions team at MongoDB, and I have the immense privilege of moderating this panel discussion. And not only that, but I get to share the stage with some very intelligent and inspiring women, and so I'm very proud to be here. Altogether, we have about 45 minutes, and so I'd love to kick things off and get things going. And so, to start, if each of you could just introduce yourselves by giving your name, your role, and I'd love for you to share something that you like to do outside of the work, like a kind of hobby. And so if Amisha, you could start, that would be great.
Sure. Awesome. Hi, everyone. Good morning. Nimisha Shah. I'm Enterprise Platform Engineering team at Ford Motor Company. Manage the database services team. My hobby is going for the Zumba in the evening. That is my fun time, and I feel so happy whenever I do Zumba. Zumba could be on a Spanish or American or could be Indian, which is a Desi theme Zumba, but that's my fun and hobby.
I love Zumba too.
Hey everybody, my name is Nidhi Verma. I'm the Senior Director of Engineering at JP Morgan Chase. I'm responsible for data and analytics platform. I think I have many hobbies because I'm just generally creative outside of my data job. And I think the one which topped at the time of COVID was painting. I picked up painting, self-learned watercolor painting, and I've continued that. And I love to write. So creative writing is something else which I really enjoy.
Oh, that's lovely.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sonia Mazzetta. I am the Executive Director of Product Management within IBM for watsonx.data. In terms of what I like to do as a hobby, I enjoy taking my daughter out on play dates. It's really very simple. Ice cream and enjoying time with my family. That's all that is very near and dear to my heart. Very nice to meet everyone.
Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you all. My name is Peggy Tsai. I'm the Chief Data Officer at Big ID. My role is to help our customers in terms of understanding their data strategy and building out a data foundation that is fit for privacy, security, and data governance. So what I like to do for fun is I like to cook and travel all the time. That's part of my job. But I also host two AI podcasts. One AI podcast is on interviewing AI founders. So I'd love to hear and learn about what new technologies they're building. And a second AI podcast I have is for book authors. So I'd love to hear how people are writing their book, what topics they're doing, and also the long journey it takes to actually write a book. So those are kind of things I do on the side.
Oh, that's great. Where can we find your podcast, just out of curiosity?
I'm sorry?
Where can we find your podcast?
Sure. So one of my podcasts is on Better Tech. So if you look up on YouTube, Peggy Tsai, Better Tech, you'll find those podcasts. And also as part of LinkedIn Live, you'll hear me as well.
Okay, amazing. And so as an opening question, I'd love to hear, in your opinion, how has the workplace in tech evolved throughout the years?
Yeah, sure, I can kick off. I think there's been a lot of evolution. We've seen tremendous amount of growth in awareness of how people have perceived women in technology. There was a lot of underrepresentation when things started, and in last few years, I have specifically seen people coming out, reaching out, creating awareness, creating BRG, business resource groups, and within their organization, there's almost like a cultural shift from what it used to be to what it is now. So I do think that the numbers and statistics speak for themselves, that there's been an increase, but we have a long journey to go in this space.
Yeah, so it's definitely evolving, right? Long time back, like 15, 16 years back when I started my career, there were very few women in the team, especially in the technical role. I started my journey as a DBA, which is database administrator, which was extremely technical role. And I would tell you, I was the only girl carrying the on-call pager, working in the team. And nowadays, I see women are all over the place in the technical teams, which is awesome, right? Their percentages are significantly increasing. From 2019 to 2022, if you see, there is 6.9% increase in the women workforce in the technical space, which is awesome. I also oversee STEM at Ford, and as part of it, we do oversee the pipeline, right? We call it as a pipeline, meaning by how many girls are getting recruited in the universities as a computer science or a IT major. And it's a pipeline. Once they are there, you know there will be more girls coming into the workforce and then eventually in the tech leadership and whatnot. And we do see percentages are keep increasing when it comes to girls going into the university for the technical education. And to me, that's pretty evolving over the years. As well as one thing I would tell you, there are much more resources available for the girls in the technology versus it used to be before. That is also helping girls to be in the technology and to be more into leadership role as well.
Yeah, certainly. Would you all like to add to it? I can repeat the question too if you didn't hear. Yeah, the question was, in your opinion, how has the workplace for women in tech evolved throughout the years?
So I think that the women in technology, the progress has evolved greatly, and it's a very positive thing, right? I mean, if you look at the statistics today, when I last checked, we're about in the 30 to 35 percentile in terms of women in technology. So it's progress, right? We went from perhaps single digits to now 30 to 35%. But I think we can do better, right? I think I would love to see that grow a lot higher. I think that we just need to continue doing what we're doing. We need to continue mentoring, those that come behind us. We need to provide more exposure. There's different ways we can do that. We just have to make it very easy. I think that there is this almost fear, right? Especially as a younger female in terms of going into this big world of technology and primarily being, mostly dominated by, males, right? And I think that if we can get to a point where we remove that and we show those that are coming, forward and are interested in this field that this is something they can do and feel empowered to doing, and feeling that it's something that they can be successful in through demonstrations, through these amazing women, just as an example, right, that who have been able to accomplish great things in these fields, as well as other women who have accomplished amazing things in the past. I think that that is the way that we need to keep moving forward. One thing that I myself am doing, just to show you what I'm doing myself, right, is I mentor. I mentor back to a lot of, aspiring women in technology within IBM. I also always try to give back to the community. So whenever I can, I go back to the university that I attended, and if there's any talks that they need in terms of encouraging other potential females who are looking to, major in these technology fields, whether it's computer science or math or other, that's something that I sign up for. And third, I have a 6-year-old, and she's a female, and I would love for her to follow my footsteps. And guess what? I am signing her up for a STEM summer camp. And this is how I'm slowly exposing her to it, so that it's nothing, so it doesn't feel unnatural, so it feels more natural, and then she can decide if this is something that she is interested in.
I don't know how much more I can add to. I certainly echo everyone's comments so far, but I certainly think that there's a lot of opportunities for women. I mean, I've worked in financial services my entire career, working in Wall Street, New York, in financial services, and being in a technology group. Obviously, when I first started my career, I was the only female. And you do have to be a little bit more proactive than I would say my male peers in terms of advocating for myself, advocating for the best projects, and being heard. And I think there's a lot of good support groups that have certainly evolved over the years. I'm a part of Women in Data. I'm a part of the Women in Technology groups. So there's a lot of those types of grassroots groups that have grown, and I've seen those as great support systems for if you're early on in your career and you can find those support. But I think that as you mature and you grow in your career, there's certainly other more professional executive groups. And it's also, as Sonia said, really important to give back and mentor and to provide opportunities. I think that at this point in my career, I'm not just going to mentor someone, I'm also going to sponsor someone. I'm going to advocate for that person when that person is not in the room to make sure that she gets the project and she gets the recognition. So I think that's very important, not just as a senior executive, whether you're male or female, to continuously do that. So I think that this is something that we all need to advocate for, regardless of our gender. I think that we should be advocating for the younger generation, and also for developers that may not necessarily be in the majority of the room. So making sure that all equal voices are heard. And I think we know that with artificial intelligence, you have to make sure to avoid all the biases, make sure that you have all equal voices and opportunities to participate in the building of all your models. So I think this is where I feel very passionate about, and I look forward to talking about this.
Segue into the next question that I have, and you covered it a little bit, Peggy. How valuable do you all think it is in building a support network for professional growth? Have you cultivated mentorship to help your career?
So I'll just start. Since I'm holding the microphone. So I mean, I think you're right, Gabriela. There's certainly a lot of groups out there that anyone can participate in. I've been a part of being a mentor and helping with these groups. And any company that I've been a part of, I actually always raise my hand and participate in the women groups, because I think that that's where you can provide the leadership opportunities, and not just and if there's no group that exists today, I mean, certainly advocate for building one. So there's a lot of these. I would say the professional networking is something that I wish all young developers and data professionals did. I didn't see that happen a lot. I think that people shy away from these type of softer skills and networking and finding the support. And I think that's something that is a missed opportunity. So I would say that that's one big advice I would give to younger professionals today, is to focus on the networking, focus on finding your peers, and helping with not just developing your technical skills, but also your leadership and softer skills as well in business.
I can do that. Do you want to? Okay, sure. Yeah, so to me, networking and mentoring is extremely important for all of us, right? Doesn't matter what level you are in your profession. Mentor always look for you mainly for your interest, where you want to grow, as well as what are your strengths. And based on it, at times, they do guide you what could be the next for you. Also, all of us work in technology, and that means it's evolving space, right? So make sure you have check-in periodically with your mentor as well. Like if I talk about my experience, it's not only mentor, I also have sponsors and advocates for myself. And all three of them plays a significantly different roles when it comes to mentor, sponsor, and advocates, right? Advocate continuously advocates for you in terms of what you do, why you need to have that role, why you want to get promoted, or whatever it is for your growth. And likewise, sponsorship, right? I come from Ford. It's pretty large company, and sometimes you get lost easily if you don't have mentors and support system, what I'm talking about. So do make sure you check in, and once you get elevated to certain role, make sure you give it back to the community, meaning by you do provide mentorship and sponsorship to others as well, because to me it's a gift which you get as well as you give, and it's pretty crucial for all of us.
Can you share what's the difference between a mentor and a sponsor?
Yeah, so mentor would definitely mentor you in terms of what you're supposed to do. When it comes to sponsorship, they do work with you as a partner, hand to hand. Hey, let's build your short-term and long-term career plan, right? What do you want to do? Where do you want to go? how can I help you? And that's a key difference between the mentor and the sponsorship.
Okay, all right, great.
I'd like to quickly add to that. I think one of the points which Peggy brought up was very critical, which it's not easily overlooked. The fact that when you're in an organization, you're not always in the room, which is making decisions for you or in your place. And at that time is where you need a sponsor, somebody who is going to pull you forward, somebody who is going to uh, emphasize on your strengths in front of people who don't know enough about you. So you're not going to be there in each of those rooms, and that's where it's really, really important to find that connection, find that sponsor for yourself in your organization. And to extend on the mentorship and advocacy, I think it's not one person. You in especially in organizations which have different lines of businesses, and they're expansive, uh, you get to learn and build your network by meeting more people and telling them what they know about you. So there's this adage which I heard a long time back, which stuck with me, which was it's not just about how much you know, but also about how much others know what you know. And that really takes you forward a lot in spaces where advocacy for yourself is equally important. So just to summarize everything we heard, I think the importance of mentorship, importance of having advocates, and importance of having sponsors for you is a critical is of critical need, as well as I think there should be intentional effort made by a lot of upcoming growing professionals to really seek out that level of network for yourself.
Great. Not just for women, but for anyone across the board.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so, please. In this field.
I think I can start since. So I think one of the main challenges for us, like all of us experienced that, when we started out, I was the only person in the room, and a lot of us have experienced that of only women in the room. Uh, it takes more intentional effort to put yourself out there. It's not easy because you don't see anybody else like you. So you have to establish yourself in that room. And also not just that, it's the challenges, as she was talking about the pipeline. There weren't that many women taking on this type of role because of the challenges of not seeing that many of you there. Now continue in along with that, you also see the gap with wage. You see the gap with just growing with the opportunities, um, and I think that together can really impact how people are growing in this industry.
Yeah, so to me, work-life balance has been extremely challenging for women, right? Especially when you are a mother of, children. It's tough because there are so many expectations in your personal life, at work, as a professional, especially when you want to grow to a leadership role, etc. So my advice to you is set the expectation everywhere, including your husband, kids, work, right? That, hey, I have to have this time for my personal life or at work. This is what I could do, right? And to me, set the expectation with the right timings. That always helped me to grow further and further. Because now they know I'm going to check out at this time from work to take care of something in my personal life. And then I'll be back again. The challenge around it, though, year over the year, nowadays the culture is you have to become always on, no matter what role you are playing. Is it like an operational role, developer role, or in a leadership role? Team do expect you to be on all the time. If it's an operational issue, financial issues, or strategy, building the strategy, or communicating to the team, mentoring the team, whatnot. And that has been pretty good challenge to solve for all of us. That means you have very good job when you have those type of problems to solve. But yeah, I think find a sweet spot which works for you. Certain things could wait for the off hours to handle. Certain things could be better when you have a whole global team online. So make sure those tasks are getting handled around those time, and you adjust your timing, including the personal life as well. And to me, I think that's a way to go and succeed in what you do.
Okay, great, thank you. And I don't know if everyone got to hear it because I think my mic was having challenges before, but the question I'd asked was, what are unique challenges or opportunities as a female leader in tech that are specific to this industry?
And I can go ahead and answer that. So, I mean, I think what everyone said is really 100% accurate. At the end of the day, you have to really evaluate what are those challenges for you and those unique situations. For me, myself, I'll be very vulnerable. I'm still struggling with it. You have to figure it out. I have a 6-year-old and I have a very demanding job that sometimes does require 24 hours ideally, but obviously that's not humanly possible. So some of the things that I've done to help with that, and I think it could help others, is really surround yourself with really good people that can support you from your workforce, right? Have delegates that can help you with specific areas that perhaps you designate to them. And I really totally agree with what Nimasha said. The whole thing about setting those expectations, even in your personal life, 100% true, right? I literally just had to do that and have a long conversation with my husband and say, hey, you got to help me because it's a lot, right? We got to do this together. So, I think that makes 100% sense. And I think, I'm going to backtrack a little bit on the previous question in terms of what you should do in terms of advocating for yourself. I did want to make a point before we left that is that one of the things that I think is very important when you are advocating for yourself and you're trying to find sponsors and mentors to help you in your career, one thing that I know that I lacked a lot, and I see a lot of females do that because I think a lot of us as females don't like to almost promote ourselves because we don't want to come off as being overly flashy or, oh my God, look at this person is talking so much about themselves. But you know what? You do have to do that. You have to advocate. You have to promote yourself. You have to almost, sell yourself in terms of your skills and your experience. And you have to continuously do that because if you don't and you meet the right person and you let that opportunity go, it's a missed opportunity, right? In terms of them getting to know your abilities and what you're capable of. So I did want to raise that back because I think it is an important point and it's something that, it would be good if all of us have that in the back of our minds.
Okay, great. We can move on to the next, or if you have a question, if you want to add to it.
No, we can move on.
Okay, all right, great. So the next question is, are there specific leadership skills that you believe are essential for women to develop in order to succeed in tech leadership roles? And what would you say they are?
So I think this is a great question because I think I can also answer the last question as well. So I think when I read this question, I don't think it's specific to women leaders. I think that all good leaders should have these skills, but I think that they're inherently women and females, are just better at certain things. And I'll just, be a little sexist here. We're on stage, but I think as a female leader, executive leader in technology, I think there are certain skills in terms of empathy, better communication skills, better collaborative skills that has helped me become better. And I think that those as a woman executive, you have to be good at selling yourself, as Sonia said, being able to present the ideas and sell your business concepts, get that funding that's important for the projects, and communicate that. I think that communication happens on all levels. It happens upwards to your board, your executives, to your peers, and also to your team downwards. And I think that oftentimes, leaders only are managing up. They're not very good at managing to their peers and also to the team. So being able to look holistically in how you manage effectively, communicate effectively, negotiate, I think that's also a very important skill, because not everything can happen all at once in terms of limitations of resources and funding. So you're going to have to negotiate and give and take a little bit and plan for the larger picture. So one of the things that I had to learn to navigate was not just selling myself and advocating for myself, but also be able to stitch together what is the operational and tactical things I needed to do, but also keep in mind the bigger picture as well in terms of what was my vision in terms of the technology and how does it align with business and business priorities and objectives. And being able to communicate that effectively in each and every conversation I had, not just with my manager, but also with my peers, and get that collaboration support, but also with my team as well, so that they can rally behind me. So having that vision, crystal clear vision, and being able to articulate that, I think that every good leader should have, and I think that women in particular should lean in on the relationship skills and the empathy skills and the communication skills that they have already, and enhance that as well as already building upon their technical skills that they have.
That was a great answer. But I think a lot of what she said is fundamentally generally followed by most people. I wanted to just share a personal story of how this sort of evolved in my journey. Three things which I've always, tried to create as a sort of a positive feedback loop for myself is it starts with competence, then comes courage, and that together gives me confidence. So I've always sort of followed that in my career from the beginning, because independent of whether you're a man or a woman, you will not always be served in a silver platter what you need to do in an organization, how you can make an impact. And there have been a lot of times in my career, in my journey, where I've not gotten the project of my choice, or I've not been put into a place which I really wanted to work on. And in those situations, I have looked around and seen, okay, how do I make a better impact from where I am? I have tried to take the path less traveled, not followed a stereotypical journey. And a lot of us read those books where they talk about, it's not always a ladder, it's a monkey hop to your way to the top. So I think a lot of that comes from the fact that you need to have the courage to try something which nobody else has tried, and go for it. And one of the things I've been doing that a lot of times in my career, where I've been put in a situation where I was in a project I didn't want to be in, but I looked at how I can make an impact. I went and learned something completely new, added that as a part of the offering of the project, and it really shined. So more recently, about 2 years ago, I hit that point in my career where I felt that I've hit sort of a ceiling which requires creating a differentiator. And although it was really difficult with having two kids, one is almost a middle schooler, and having a full-time difficult job. I have some of my team members here. They've seen me struggle to my daily life, and on top of that, I went ahead and enrolled in an executive MBA program, which required me to travel away 4 hours from here to Boston. And while I love it, it's crazy. And and the fact that it's taken me that courage to push myself outside of my known boundaries of what I've seen everybody else do, has given me a lot of confidence that I can do more, I can deliver more, I can be more productive, and I can create a larger impact. So to bring back your question on what leadership values are important, I think empathy for me is number one, but then comes these three things which, independent of who you are, really helps you grow in your organization, in your life in general, not just this. But I do want to add that giving back is equally important. Being there for somebody, even if it is one person, who works for you, who has come up to you and asked you for something, and you be there for them and you teach them and coach them through their process, is such a fulfilling experience that it gives me all the more energy to keep moving forward.
Oh, that's really great insight. I love that. I would love to ask this next question that I'm very curious what your responses will be. You each have quite senior leadership roles, a lot of responsibility, you manage teams. How do you balance assertiveness and collaboration in leadership positions, especially where assertiveness may be perceived differently based on gender?
I think
Oh, this one is a hard one because we don't want to say it, but you know what they think when you're too assertive, right? It's a female. So look, I've been called different things sometimes. It is what it is. Sometimes you do have to be assertive, but you have to do it in a respectful manner, and you have to ensure that you align it always back to the business objectives, right? It should never be a personal thing. And I think that as long as you keep it in those boundaries, that will help you, right? In terms of, difficult conversations, whether it's with employees within your team or it's with peers, right? You're trying to align in terms of, particular strategies, and maybe, you're not yet seeing eye to eye, and maybe you have to instill your assertiveness because sometimes, you just need to bring that confidence, right? Whether you're a female or a male, right? I think it's really critical to ensure that when you are trying to be assertive and you're trying to make a point, you have to be humble enough to recognize when it's, proper to keep pushing and when to back up, right? So it doesn't get to the next level. And if I had to bring it back in terms of what else is important, is just make sure that you always keep it to a respectful manner, right? No matter how, I would say, not aggressive, but no matter how, you get into the conversation and how powerful you feel about it, make sure that when you come out of that you still have respect for each other as individuals, and you still talk about how's your day going? Oh, how was your family going? Like, don't forget, right? Just because you had that, intense conversation and you're trying to be assertive about a particular topic because you want to be successful in the strategy that you're driving or the deal you're trying to achieve, make sure you bring it back that you're a human still, right? That's business, and as a human, I still respect you, and we're still going to, talk to each other just the same way, and there's not going to be any animosity. So that is my point of view on that.
I think, Sonia, you hit on a really important word, is being humble. And I think that as a woman executive leader, you do have to be assertive to one point because you are leading a team. You do have to be decisive and confident, and sometimes you do have to be assertive. But I think that having, sometimes a bit of humbleness, it's important to make sure that you're being professional at all times with your teams. Sometimes as a female, I was called emotional in the past, right? How often, I'm sure many of us have felt very emotional in any meetings, but I call that passion, right? I think we're all passionate about what we're doing. We all love what we're doing, and we all want to make sure we are producing good results. So whether or not you're a team leader or a team member, I think creating that safe space is really important for everyone in your team, your organization, to be able to voice their opinions and to come as they are. Come to the table, whether you are more assertive, more emotional, more technical, more tactical. We don't have to change who we are in order for us to all work effectively together and collaborate and produce results. So at the end of the day, being respectful and humble are really important values.
I think they covered it well.
All right, great. Yeah, that's great feedback. Okay, good. So another question I have is, how do you believe diversity, particularly gender diversity, has enriched the technology sector in terms of innovation and problem solving?
Yeah, so in general, I feel women are really good in terms of connecting the dots. And we are also good in terms of, hey, can you do this for me? Can you do this for me, right? So to me, that really helps when it comes to innovation, because innovation, you don't know how it's going to turn out. You might fail, you might succeed, but you are going to try with the team, right? It's not a one-person role. And as a woman, that really helps in terms of diversity, because there are people who are extremely technical, they know what they're supposed to do. And there are people who are not sure what they're supposed to do, but they know who can do that for them. And to me, that makes it inclusive team, diverse team for the better outcome and better results. And all of us are working in technology. We have to have that out-of-the-box mindset. And one more thing I would add on, don't be shy in reaching out to others as well, right? And you don't have to solve the problem on your own. Forget about it, right? No, you do not want to be the best in everything. Just be better in what you do, where your passion is, and go deeper in it versus trying to be really good at horizontal skills. Having a deep vertical skills is extremely important. At the same time, reach out to others who could help you to fill in other verticals, and then eventually you can make a great product.
I think I can start off by giving two examples of the many, but Katherine Johnson, Grace Hopper, that's an example of the power that women can make in technology. Grace Hopper was a data scientist who invented COBOL programming language, and Katherine was essentially the person that made it possible for us to land on the moon, right? Astronauts to get there. So if you think about the power behind just what these two women did, imagine, right? Everything else that we can do now going forward, and the other women that have contributed in the past. We bring so much to the table. I mean, naturally, I think we're great multitaskers. I think we totally excel in that. I think, some of the other points that have been raised are the empathy aspect of it. And just because of the fact that we understand biases and diversity, we bring that to the table in terms of our views, in terms of the innovation, and in terms of execution, right? We think outside of the box. So I think that those are the areas that where women can make a significant contribution in technology and the outcomes of them.
Yeah, I don't have too much more to add except to say that in addition to the diversity of genders and also the diversity of people's backgrounds, and whether you come from humanities or from a non-technical background and moving into tech, I think that including this diversity of gender and thinking is so important, because for any customer that's as a technology company, you're selling a product, and the product is for consumers who are diverse as well, right? So I think that that message is known, I think, from an executive and board level, that you have to sell to everyone. And in order for that to happen, you need to include your employees that are diverse as well to the process. But I think as an individual, as an employee, your perspective is obviously, how do you advocate for yourself? How do you ensure that your voice is heard? I mean, those are the things we answered earlier in terms of how we can amplify our voices and ensure that you're working on the strategic projects, the most impactful projects, and learn some of the soft skills, right? I think technology, it's always about the hard technical skills, but I think what's most important in the longevity of your career and the success of your career is also the soft skills that we're talking about today, the networking, the support, learning the communication skills. Those are the soft skills that will certainly take you far into your career.
I think I wanted to add something quickly there. So one of the things you asked about, how has gender diversity created more innovation? And as we see the trend, the number of women in senior leadership roles in the past few years has started to increase. Not that much change in how many women founders or women invested companies have started. Why does that happen is because inherently of the all good qualities women have, they also have this aspiration for perfection and a need for validation a lot of times, like a sort of a self-doubt that unless someone comes and tells me that I'm doing this right, am I doing it right? That question. So I think when you see more women up there telling you that, hey, I've gotten here, you can do this too, it just sort of automatically creates this validation in your head that this is possible. And if I can see 5 more women founders, and I was recently at one of these pitch competitions where I saw 4, it was kicked off by a woman, and she was the only one who actually went all the way, got herself an award for that. I was fairly impressed, because then I could see that there will be more women who will be in the audience who will show up there. So I think it's that effect which gets created when you see more women or diversity of thought in terms of decision making, in terms of influencing. And just doesn't come from women, it comes from all different types of diversity, but having that lack of perspective in decision making does negatively impact the social setup than having more and more women make that decision.
Okay, that's great. And I think this is the last question that we have time for, but it's a good segue into it. What do you think are some emerging technologies or fields where you see significant opportunities for women to make contributions and shape the future of tech?
So I am going to be a little biased here. I'll say that up front. I am going to say 2 areas. One is everything that everyone's talking about, Gen AI, right? Well, that is the big buzz these days. And who better than women to contribute to that field, especially when it comes to ethics, right? It's the biases of the data. And it's understanding the fact that technology could be used in amazing ways, but also in ways that you shouldn't, right? So I think that that's one major area that women in technology can make a significant contribution and use that diversity and that background to help with that. The other is data analytics, right? Data management. So this is my field, and that's why I say I'm biased. And the reason why is because Gen AI is amazing, but if the data underneath it is not, the output is not going to be good, right? So you need both. And if these are areas that you're interested in, I think that there's a significant opportunity for women in technology to contribute and find their niche in either one of these 2 areas. So that's my point of view.
Completely agree with you, Sonia. So I won't repeat. Generative AI, I think, is a really great opportunity, not just from a technical perspective, but from how you explain the business value and business impact to the end users. I think that women are going to be great at doing that storytelling. The second thing where I see is what I see as well where women can thrive in is the other parts of technology is the adjacent areas, like the regulatory aspect of it, the privacy, the security. I think these are all adjacent roles and roles and responsibilities that are just going to grow and more expansive. And in terms of understanding the impacts of all the new regulations, not just the EU AI Act, but what's going to happen in the US, I think that's being able to explain and stitch together really end-to-end story, not just the technical aspects of what is expected of AI systems, but to be able to tell different groups, different users, and be able to talk about it in terms of different use cases. I think that full end-to-end story, I think, is going to be really interesting and something that women are going to be great at doing as well. So a lot of opportunities, and I also want people to think not just technology, but also the other roles that are going to be explosive in terms of outside of just the pure tech skills.
If I may, I want to just expand the definition of technology as we think about it here is not only in the software and digital technology space, but there is a lot of need for more women in the deep technology space where innovation is moving at a pace which is not as fast as digital technology. So in healthcare industry, or when you think about industries like energy industry, where they have a deep need for moving from the current energy sources to different kinds of energy sources, more women are needed there, because as you Nimisha was talking about, the pipeline of students coming into STEM is increasing. Are they channeling themselves in roles like that? So I think not just limit themselves to digital, but also expand in every space, because there's so much need for expansion. And as we heard, there is, as that loop gets created of more women or diverse people in higher roles, senior roles, it creates that wider impact for all industries.
Okay, great. Well, that's really all that we have time for, but thank you so much for joining, everyone. I'd love to give a round of applause to our panelists.